Hi, I'm Pat Sharp, and I'm here with the Your Era blog by Zingo Bingo to go through my Flashback files. The first record I ever bought was a 7-inch single by Elton John. Would have been early 70s, and it was Crocodile Rock. And I remember, no, actually, before that, I did have a record bought for me when I was unwell, and my dad went down the road to buy it for me and brought it back. And that was also a 7-inch single. That was Donny Osmond and Puppy Love. There you go. Don't laugh. It's a big #1 record. The first live gig I ever went to was at Wembley Arena. It was Peter Frampton. You're all going. He was big, Peter Frampton, in the 70s. I was probably 13, 14 years of age. Big double album. Check out Frampton Comes Alive. It's a live album, and it features the vocoder on Do You Feel Like I Do? And the vocoder is the thing where you play the guitar, and at the same time, it makes you sound like you're singing a guitar. So it's like, do you feel like we do? If you see what I mean. I loved sort of the high-heeled 70s era of pop stars. And when I say that, I mean the men. I mean, I thought Alvin Stardust was brilliant, and I went to see him play live many years after his original success, and then I got to meet him and I interviewed him. But I also, this is going to sound a bit creepy because he lived in Stanmore where I was brought up, I also stood outside his house and waited for him to come out of the gates in his black BMW with his black windows. And I couldn't have been more than 10 years old at the time, and it absolutely made my day. So thank you, Alvin. We miss you. For me, looking back at some of my old photos, there's one of me wearing dungarees. I was really into dungarees, and I shouldn't have been because I was in my mid-20s by then, and they were just really comfy. I think I borrowed my wife's. She had like a boiler suit, which was kind of a bit like dungarees, and I borrowed that once, and she was not happy because I think she went to wear it and saw me on TV wearing it. I was very disappointed. So I would wear stuff that was kind of a little bit girly at the time, probably, and very short shorts. I can remember being on stage at Bross's final concert, which was their biggest concert. It was Wembley Stadium, and I was on stage, and I was wearing the shortest shorts, and I had the longest blonde hair, and there were various other acts who were on stage during that gig before the actual Bros part of the show, which was the final part. So there was people like Sunita, and I think Kylie was there, and Debbie Gibson, and a number of other acts who were around at the time. And I think when I came out on stage at one point with my long blonde hair and my very short tight shorts, somebody thought, wow, Kylie looks amazing today. But no, that was me, so apologies for that. I remember having my first mobile phone, and a mate of mine was selling them. I don't know how he got them, but he was sort of selling them independently of a shop. And he came to Capital Radio with my phone, and he gave it to me in the box, and I said, fantastic. And I picked it up, and I went, it doesn't really work. It's connected to something here. What's all these wires? He goes, no, you can't just use it like this. It's obviously got to go in your car. And then I realised, obviously, oh yeah, of course, it's like car phone warehouse are around, and people are getting car phones. There is no way. Oh, what I really wanted was the really big one with the long aerial that was really heavy that people had on building sites, and that was an actual mobile phone. So I put it in the car and got really excited when it finally rang, and I couldn't hear the person on the other end. It was my wife saying, have you got your phone? I went, sorry, I can't hear you. Nothing changes, eh? Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield, extravaganza that is Caddyshack. It's a 1980 movie. Probably not very PC, but it's very, very funny. I'm kind of okay with my mullet because I cut it off many decades ago, and it never really, never killed anyone, did it? I mean, sometimes I swung it around, it might have taken someone's eye out, but in general, it never hurt anybody. So when people say to me, oh, hello mate, oh, you've had your hair cut. I go, yeah. Early 90s. Thanks for remembering. Thanks for seeing me since then. I have been around, But it was iconic, and it has stood the test of time from the point of view that people remember it, people talk fondly of it, and it's probably, I think it's fair to say, if not the most famous mullet, certainly up there in the top three. With Michael Bolton, the singer, had a good mullet. Andre Agassi, he had a mullet. Everybody had a mullet. Jason Donovan had a mullet. Everybody in Neighbours had mullets. Peter Stringfellow had a mullet. They were big. But mine stood the test of time. I think the newspaper, I think it was the Express, actually had a picture of Beckham's new hair, next to it a picture of my old hair, and it said, Beckham does a pat sharp. There you go. You know when you've made it. Hey Beckham, being on Capital Radio and helping to make it such a big station in London and making it the sound of London that everybody talked about, everybody heard. I was given the opportunity by our boss, Richard, and he put me on and gave me a shot and had a good 10 years there, which was great. So I joined in 87 and then, clunked on through till the end of 96 and then went to Heart and then did pretty much the same at Heart by making my show number one and mid-mornings and having a great time, and then moved from there to other stations, up as far as Smooth and Greatest Hits, and then to Heart 80s where I am now. So back inside the same building, well technically the same building where I was, but it's not in Euston Tower anymore. It moved from there to Leicester Square. For me, just being on the radio was always something I always wanted to do, more so than being on TV. I got TV shows, ended up presenting Top of the Pops when I was on Radio 1, and then I got my kids show. In the meantime, I was working a lot in Europe on what was Sky Channel. Now, Sky Channel in the early 80s, 1982, 83, I started working there, was a pan-European cable channel that was seen across Europe and in the UK, but only in homes that had cable delivered via satellite. You were sort of well known in Milton Keynes and new towns like that, but nobody knew you anywhere else because they didn't have cable television. In Europe, it was massive. We were on TV in more than 40 million homes in 28 different countries who had cable way before the UK did, and we were really famous. It was myself and Gary Davis and Peter Powell and Tony Blackburn and Kid Jensen, and we were delivering pop music videos like pre-MTV to homes across Europe, and I was the first person to play the Aha video for Take On Me. They came over to the UK to be in London to try and get a hit record, and they made this video, and we broadcast it on Sky satellite TV, and they were seen in Norway, where they're from, because no one in Norway would show it because it only had one TV channel like the BBC, national broadcaster NRK, and we were the guys who played their video first. And it was seen back in Norway and indeed in Germany and Finland and Denmark and Sweden and Holland and all over the shop, because we were playing pop videos and interviewing all the stars from Duran Duran to Culture Club and getting big audiences. So they were big things for me in the 80s, doing telly alongside my radio shows. But radio for me was always the more personal, one-to-one approach, like the way I'm speaking to you now. I mean, I haven't said hello everybody, have I? I've just said how are you? It's personal. So when I was growing up and before I got into radio, I started on radio and TV and stuff when I was 20. So before that, it would have been Victoria Principal, who was Pamela Ewing in Dallas. And I remember when I did get, slightly well known, started being on the radio, Smash Hits magazine asked me, who's your celebrity crush? And I said, Victoria Principal, Pamela Ewing. If you don't know her, Google Victoria Principal. I think she's still around. Very beautiful lady, and of course lived in Dallas. Or so I thought anyway from the TV show, and it looked really hot and sunny there, so I thought what's not to like? I can take Victoria out for dinner and then sunbathe the next morning. This was Flashback Files with me, Pat Sharp, brought to you by Zingo Bingo.